Hey, hello, welcome to the show. It is me, John Park, and we are here in John Park's workshop. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. We've got our people over in our YouTube chat. Thank you for jumping in over there. Robert Cochran and Dave Odessa and Beatograph Abdelhagen, Connor McCarter, hello. And we've also got our Discord chat. So if you're wondering where the chat is at, look for it. The Adafruit Discord server at adafruit.it/Discord. There'll be a link. Head on over there to the server and then look for that channel right there, the live broadcast chat channel. That's where people are hanging out during the show. Hello there, Thin Man, Dan the Geek, Paul Cutler, John Nodge, Split City DIY, Andy Calloway. Hello. Hey, Todd Bot. Is this the live Jugglecast chat channel? Well, yes, it is. I, in fact, do have some juggling topics today, as well as some other interesting stuff that I hope you will find interesting too. And let's see, before I get too deep into it, I want to give you a sort of preview of what's going to happen. So I've got a coupon code I'll share with you and some free enticements over on the Adafruit shop so you can save some money and get some neat stuff. I've got a recap of my Tuesday show, the product pick of the week. I have a CircuitPython Parsec for you. I am also going to show you some of the continued work on the juggling, interactive juggling balls using ESP Now. And I've also got at least one, I've got a DIY, show you a little DIY juggling ball project, very low-tech version. And if we've got time for it, I'll jump into a little Nintendo DS Lite repair that I did just to jump into some retro stuff. So, first off, coupon code. If you want to go to the Adafruit shop and save some money when you buy stuff, then this is what you want. You want this coupon code right here, Orbitron. 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 You only have to type it once, but if you do, you'll get you'll get 10% off. Where did I get that from? You'll get 10% off, sorry. Shoot, now I owe you that, remaining 15%. No, I do not. Orbitron will get you 10% off in the Adafruit shop. That is a coupon code that is good until midnight tonight, East Coast time. So head on over to Adafruit and take a look at some of the neat stuff that we've got. If you head on over here, you'll see the main Adafruit site is the shop, and we have a banner of new products, or I don't know what we call this, a pane, a section on new products. And off to the right, you can click on View All New Products. Take a look at some new JST interconnect cables we've got. We have this new snazzy Raspberry Pi M.2 Hat Plus Compact for hooking up little SSD drives to your Raspberry Pi. I haven't tried this yet, but I hear it is super cool and super fast. We've got a some sort of a refresh. This just came back in the shop. The refresh on the STM32F4 Feather, if you're into that sort of thing. And more, but it's good on pretty much anything that we can ship to you. So it won't work on gift certificates or subscriptions or software, but if it's something that you can have shipped to you, then you can get 10% off with Orbitron. Sorry for the confusion. John Nodge was wondering if they type it 3 times, will they get 30% off? I do not think so. Maybe try it. And that will get you the discount. That is the shop. And since I'm over here in the shop, I'll let you know, if you go to adafruit.com and just type in /free, you'll see that we have 3 freebie enticements for you. If you spend $99 or more, you'll get a free Adafruit coaster. It's a PCB coaster with the gold Adafruit logo on it. If you spend, let me scroll this down a little, $149 or more, you'll get the coaster as well as a KB2040 microcontroller board. That's a 5-volt capable RP2040 board. I should say 5-volt capable in that it has the USB data plus and minus and 5-volt and ground available just as pins underneath, so you don't have to plug it in. If you want to use it for keyboard projects, that's perfect to keep things small and slim and sleek. But it is a KB2040 board that you can, sorry, it is an RP2040 board that you can use for anything you want inside of Arduino, inside of CircuitPython. You can run various keyboard firmwares on it, like QMK. So neat board. You get that for free for $149 or more. And if you spend $199 or more in the shop, you'll get the free coaster, the free KB2040, as well as, if you're in the continental US, you can get free ground shipping with UPS. So those are the 3 little dealios that we have going on with freebies right now. And that takes care of that. So the question over in the chat, what happened to Ask an Engineer and Show and Tell yesterday? They did not happen yesterday, but they, I believe both will be back next week. Just scheduling and busyness and child care things took precedence. So no shows yesterday, but those should be back in full swing next week. All right, so on Tuesday I have that show right there. That's the Product Pick of the Week show, and during that show I am able to offer a product at a steep discount, as well as give you a little bit of a demo of it. Here is a 1-minute recap from this week's Product Pick. The Moisture Bit. This is a simple soil moisture sensor from Microbit and more. We have a little tiny JST connector there, or we just have alligator clips here, which makes this terrific for Microbit, which has the connectors. This tells you whether your soil is moist or not. I'm running make code for Microbit. I've got my Microbit here and a very, very dry little, very leggy succulent. Right now you can see we've got frowny face on the Microbit because this is dry. So the value of that moisture sensor is reading less than 200. Go ahead and add water to the soil there, and you can see that's enough right there to make it a lot happier. So the analog value, the resistance has been reduced, the analog value goes up. Simple soil moisture sensor for Microbit and more. Indeed it is. All right, let me just fix up some screen stuff there. I had the title wrong, so I just fixed that up. Okie doke. Let's see, what have we got next? I'm just gonna I'm gonna make a little camera adjustment on my downshooter here so that I can present this CircuitPython Parsec to you in all its glory. All right, here we go. Hey, okay, so for the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to share this excellent tip that I actually learned from listening to and watching the Bootloader podcast with Todd Kurt and Paul Cutler. And on it, Todd had a really nice bit about the CircUp installation of fonts. So for the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to show you how to use CircUp to install fonts on your microcontroller board. So I'll share a link and we'll put a post out that gives you Todd's gist on this, but the key thing here is that you're using CircUp, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's a way to install libraries typically on your CircuitPython boards from the command line. Helps you to not have to go search for libraries or download the bundle manually and drag stuff on. So one of the things that it can do is it can download bundles, which are usually bundles of libraries. However, you can do this command right here, CircUp bundle add Adafruit CircuitPython fonts. So if I copy that here and just go to any command line and paste that in, and let me get rid of the pound sign at the beginning there. So if I, whoop, there we go. If I hit that, oh, it's going to yell at me about my CircuitPython or my CircUp version on this, but I think it should be okay. So it's gone and downloaded this fonts bundle, and now it's extracting it. And then the next thing that we can do, let me see if that's finished. There we go. It's also downloading the 9.0 version. Todd says, fix your editor. Okay, I found what's going on with this. It's this diagnostics. For some reason, Zed turns on this diagnostics thing. There we go, less wavy. So we're downloading and extracting the fonts, and then once those are downloaded, you can use CircUp to install individual fonts. And I won't go over all these here, but there's some nice tips on showing the list of fonts that you've downloaded. This all comes from a repository that Jepler set up that has a whole bunch of open source fonts that have been converted to PCF format that we can use. So once those are extracted, you can then go and type in CircUp install and then the name of a font, and included in the font name is the font size, because these are fixed size fonts. So I've already done this, so I don't need to do this again. I'm just going to jump back over to my main REPL here. In code, once I've done this CircUp install and then the name of a font, those live on the CircuitPython board in a fonts directory. Now what I can do is pick those just by doing a install at the beginning of my code from font and then the name of the font, import font as and the name of the font. So here you can see I've imported this collection, about 5 or 6 fonts. That is, I've actually picked just 4 of them to show here. So that makes up this list here where we can see we've got Railway Medium, Font Ostrich Sun Bold, Font Orbitron Light, web font, I love Orbitron, and Font League Gothic Italic. And so then the rest of this is just typical display I/O text code, and I won't go into that. But the key thing here really is this stuff at the top where we're able to use CircUp to grab the bundle and then use CircUp to install individual fonts that you want for your board. And so that is how you can use CircUp to install fonts on your microcontroller inside of CircuitPython. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec.
CircuitPython
In the chat, people are having fun talking about fonts. Yeah, and in fact, I didn't want to include this in that section. Just I'm gonna take that section and post it later. But I will. Let's do one for real, or maybe I will if this goes well. But let's do a real live demo of getting one of these fonts. I think those bundles came across okay. So let's go back up here. This is this comment I have from Todd's gist there. So I'll do CircUp show pipe. And we'll just get the 48, the ones that have the number 48. That's the size we want. And then grab font. So this is going to give me a list of maybe, not sure what's going on with my slide. It could be my outdated CircUp here. There we go. It's just taking a while. So here we can see there are a bunch of fonts that meet those criteria that I filtered for. So how about, let's grab, I saw one at the bottom. Which one was it? What is Sniglet? Let's grab that. Sniglet. So I'm going to copy that name there, and then we'll come back over to the install section here. So from font Sniglet Web Font 48, import font as, there we go. And then I'll include that in my list. And now I'll resave. Oh, it didn't install. Did it really? Why not? Why did you not install? Did I not install you? I think I forgot. Okay, so I have that name here. Circup. Going back up to the top. Okay, so now with the font name in mind, and I've got it copied, I'll go Circup install font Sniglet Web Font 48. So from the bundle that it downloaded and just put on my hard drive in a temp directory, it's now grabbing that one font file and installing that onto the board. So it says installed font Sniglet Web Font 48. Okay, ooh, it was a good choice, because check that out. So now we have, let me move this out of the way a little bit. Now we have font Sniglet. Okay, still love Orbitron, but I also love Sniglet very much. Look how squishy it is. All right. So that right there is how you can actually download the bundle of fonts, grab one you want, install it to the drive, and then use it inside of your code. Phew! Also, a key thing that Tyeth mentions here, and maybe I will go over to the GitHub for this. So I'm going to copy this, and let's open up a browser window. So if you take a look at the GitHub for this Adafruit CircuitPython fonts, this is a huge collection of pre-converted fonts. So normally, if you find a font, you're going to get it in like an open font format, or like an outline, or a TTF. And you can see these here. These are formats that are useful on your computer, but not so much on your microcontroller. So to convert those, we have a script that takes those and converts them over to PCF format, so that you can then actually use them inside of your microcontroller. So these bundles have already converted them. You can convert them on your own. As Tyeth mentions, we have a Learn guide on doing that using, I think, FontForge. But sometimes you just don't have the time to go and find a font, get it, do the conversion, figure out which size you want, and then put that in your microcontroller. So this takes care of a lot of that, and we have them available in a whole bunch of sizes. So yeah, there you go. That is a little bit more about using fonts there. And I think I'll get back to the Spice Invaders game, but partly I saw this and thought this is too cool to not share, and also I want to use this to pick a font for doing some type stuff inside of the game. So this kind of was a 1-2 punch there. All right. So let's see. Next up, I'll take this and get this out of here. Let's talk about the juggling balls. So I'm going to just fix this camera back up here. This little down shooter. Let me adjust. Oh, that was not what I wanted. Let me adjust the exposure. And focus. Okay, so let's go to this view. There we go. So this is the multi-layered board approach that I took for a sort of straightforward build. Even though it's like this three-dimensional creation, it's just using header pins and header sockets to be able to stack together the QT Py, the BFF for NeoPixels, the BFF for LiPo battery power, and the List3D-H for accelerometer. And then I have, since we've got the JST connector on the BFF, the NeoPixel BFF, we can wrap a little section of NeoPixels around, and now we have this interactive juggling ball that will light up, send, you might be able to hear that in the background, send a ESP now message over to a receiver that's connected up to this little synthesizer. Works just great. I also wanted to do a version on a PCB. I showed that last week, so if you missed that, you can go back and check out that episode. But essentially, I used fritzing to diagram out the board, both for these connections, so that I just knew what pins were connecting to what, but then also to be able to create this little PCB. So fritzing is rudimentary but capable of doing PCB designs, and so I was able to create this 2-layer PCB where I'm placing a couple of elements on the top, the battery BFF and the battery on the bottom, and then a NeoPixel on top and bottom, just rotated 90 degrees from each other so they don't collide pins-wise. So these came in. I showed, I think, a paper, I don't think I have it now, but I showed a paper version of this last time. Now the real ones came in, just I think that later that day or the next day I got the PCBs in. I think I got 10 of these for $27 or something like that, pretty cheap from JLC PCB. Even though I'm scared of tariffs and stuff, they were using a service that I think I had DHL or FedEx, and it wrapped any tariff costs into it in advance with no surprises, which was nice. So I put together 3 of those, and that's what it looks like soldered together. So you can see, I think I stuck this one in with a little bit of, I'm going to tighten up the shell on my 3D print a bit because these were a little wobbly in there, even though I have a groove for the PCB. So I put a little adhesive strip right there just to keep it from popping out easily, so I won't take it out. But you can see here I've got NeoPixel on top, my QT Py, my List3DH for tap detection. I put a bunch of holes in it, not knowing if I was going to need to run any bodge wires through or attach stuff. I was thinking of maybe attaching my battery with a zip tie, but instead I went with the little U-glue adhesive pads. They work great for this. So that is just a little 400 milliamp hour short tail battery connected to the BFF. And you can see here, if I turn that on, there's a little on-off switch on the BFF, which is nice. This one will light up this sort of pink color. You can hear it triggering a different note back there. Oh, there we go. Not sure why it's being that. I may have not changed the sensitivity. I've been messing around in code with the sensitivity. Here we go. And you can see here, if I turn on this other one, in my code, and we'll take a look at some code stuff in a minute. In my code, these are right now configured as ball A, B, or C. This is ball A, and this is ball B. If one of these is triggered, you'll see all the balls will acknowledge that by blinking. So even though this is the one that's being tapped, both my receiver and ball B here and ball C, if I turn that one on, they'll all receive that signal. So let me turn that off, and then I can take my other side of the shell, close that up, and as you can see, I was talking about this. Let me show it on. Yeah, this camera is probably a good one to look at it on, especially if I turn down the exposure a bit, because there's a hot spot you're seeing right there that doesn't exist in the real world. So I will dump the exposure down a bit. So you can see with 2 PCB, or rather 2 NeoPixels that are right at the center and pretty close to the equator of this ball, you get a pretty nice illumination. You can see obviously it's a little darker around that line where there are parts and shadows being created by the PCB, but it's a pretty nice even illumination compared to the NeoPixel strip on this this bolus of stuff in the middle, just because the NeoPixels are close to the edge. So this is more what I was going for, was just have kind of an even illumination. Right now, when these trigger, I have them blink red, which I realize is not a good choice for this one. So let me turn on, here's the first one I made. And something I want to mention about this one is that I was being a little cautious with this one, and I put sockets on the PCB. just so that I would have some recourse if I had done stuff wrong. I just wasn't sure yet before I soldered these boards straight down to the board. So the first one I did, I put standoffs. Those lift everything up, so the LED here on this side and on this side are very close to the top, so it doesn't look quite as nice, I think, as the center flat of the board. So I'll turn this one on. This one is also a green, so not going to turn both of these on at the same time. And you'll see when this one triggers, it blinks red. They all blink red right now. This one is actually visible because it's not starting off as pink. So close this up. Especially easy to see if I blink one of the other ones. Okay. And then I did another one with the straight flat solder here. I ran out of the 400 milliamp batteries, but I did have this 350, and that one works well too. That one's actually a little flatter, so it probably casts slightly less shadow than the 400. So I'll turn that on. There we go, and now I've got the 3 of these. I can do a little quick juggling right here, fun, and hopefully you can. I'll stand closer to the speaker so you can hear that. Crank that up. Whoa, that's chaos. All right, let me play. Oh, immediately dropped one. They tend to blow apart when they drop, which is good. It keeps them from shattering. The force just pops the 2 shell halves away. And that's on concrete. All right. Okay, these are super chaotic right now because I realize I have some different sensitivities on these. So some of them are, I think, triggering when I throw and catch, like that one. Yeah, and that one too. So, so I gotta even all those out. That's a little bit of tuning that I'll do. Let's see. Yeah, so that's what's going on with the boards, and it'll work just fine if you want to build these and you want to just go with parts and not have to make a PCB. This one works great too. I am kind of curious. Something I haven't tried is having this 4th one on that also is the green one. Yeah, I guess you could just have multiples of that same one. Yeah, they'll all work. And you could also take something like this and adjust sensitivity in code to use it as a shaker or something like that, or only trigger on double taps. There's a few different easy to do things in code on that list3dh. So speaking of code, let's go back to this view right here, and I'll open up that one right there. Let's plug that in and just close that code.py first. Okay, so we'll plug this one in. Also, you can see I put these on an angle partly so that we could plug stuff in, such as mostly this for charging. That's going to charge the battery, as well as coding. And you can rotate these when they're in there. It's just I've put a little adhesive, but you could rotate that around until it's where you want it. So with that, let's open up code on this. Turn off this weird Z thing that I can't seem to figure out how to universally turn off. Thanks. And oh, I like Tyeth's suggestion. That's cool. Have a collection of color balls for people to pick up off the table with duplicates of various notes and instruments. Get a volley of snare drum jugglers. Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Connor McCarter, who said this is completely bonkers. Agreed. So This right here is my only user config thing. So if you wanted to change this one to be also blue, we could say ball C. Resave that, and now this one is also a ball C. Another change I made since the last time we looked at this code is that I realized originally what I was doing with these, so to back up a little bit, the key thing here is that we're using ESP-NOW. And ESP-NOW on this ESP32 S2 or S3 QT can form a little hubless network where messages can be sent peer-to-peer, one-to-all, all-to-one, one-to-many, that kind of thing. Very lightweight, no hub required. So the way that we're triggering those drum sounds is that I have a feather ESP32, I think it's a S2 over here, that is receiving messages from the balls. The only message that it's receiving now, previously I was sending both the ball name, so it was just saying, hey, I'm ball A, and all of these devices would say, oh, ball A just sent a message. And I was also sending a MIDI note to play. Yeah, so it's essentially a mesh network. And I think, Connor, I don't know this stuff very well, so I don't know how far off it is, like topology-wise, from something like Zigbee, but maybe some people could talk about that if they know. Also, a question from the chat, Quinman16, the editor I'm using is called Zed, Z-E-D, Zed, and I believe it is available on Windows, Mac, Linux. So this message was, hey, I'm this ball, and hey, play this note. And I realized it would be easier for me to manage if I just only have the ball say, hey, I'm this ball, and then on the bridge, which is what I'm calling the thing that bridges you to a synthesizer or a computer, this feather, the code on this now says what to do when it receives a message. I'm sure there's a computer science networking word for this, but essentially the only message these say is identity. And then what's done with that is handled over on this side. What you'll notice sometimes is when I trigger one of these, you'll hear not the same note playing each time. Bum, 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 bum. So I gave it 4 or 3 notes in a little list over on the feather to go through. So it just loops through those increments and loops through those each time it gets the message, hey, the blue ball C sent a message. If I change this to ball A, and then I have 4 different notes, I believe, on that one. If I change it to ball B or just shake ball B, that one only triggers the same note each time. But it's not handled by the ball. The ball just says who it is. So we'll take a look at that code in a second. I have also just made a little list of the colors, so if you want to change the ID, that's all you have to change, and you'll automatically get the color with it. You could of course, adjust these to your heart's content. I don't remember why I have those 2 lists. I think that's just redundant. And then the other thing that's going on, which I want to change, and let's see how easy that is to change, is on the green one, it blinks red when it's shaken, which when you're diagnosing things and maybe this thing isn't connected or the sound isn't working, I just want to see that it flashes to know that it sent a message. So this pink going to red is really hard to see. So what I want to do is check where I am blinking, blink red, and so I'm explicit here. I should probably make a second list that is like the complementary color or something that a ball will go to. For now on this one, I'll just change this to green. But I don't want to leave it this way because then this one will be screwed up later. So, but now you can hopefully see it's very quick. But let me see. Can I make this a little longer without adding lag? Oh, it's saving, sorry. There you go. You can see that a little better on that. Yeah, so I like that timing. So I'll leave that on that. Now if I unplug this one and grab the feather, we're not going to hear any sounds anymore because that's not, now it's just plugged into this computer. But what the feather, and sorry, my screen is lifting off. These screens never stay stuck for long. They're meant to have a little bezel around them. Let me try to focus that. What's it yelling at me about? No module name. Mute. Oh no. What happened to that? Wait, I didn't save over anything, did I? Let me really replug this. What the heck happened? I have that code backed up, so we should be okay. Yeah, let's see. What code is running on here? What on earth? It's the bridge code. Huh. There goes the diagnostics. Thank you, Zed. Let's make a new disco tool. Yeah, weird. Let's add it. All right. So circup. Install NeoPixel. You kind of have to be careful. You only have one CircuitPython device plugged in when you're doing this, because who knows which one it'll install stuff on or save things to. All right. Now what's it saying? Yeah. Where did I'm a little nervous about why this feather lost all its libraries, but in unplugging it over there and plugging it in over here, it lost its libraries. That's, whoops. Do, 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 do. Huh. I just installed that, right? Is that its own? No. Huh. All right. Out of curiosity, does it still work if I plug it into the synthesizer? I doubt it. Nope. All right, so let's, it's okay. We've got this code elsewhere. I think we should be able to resave it onto here. Or does that matter right now? You know what, before I do that, I'll just show you the one thing that I cared about. We've looked at this code before about receiving ESP-NOW messages. This was my MIDI mappings. So all I've done here is set colors and notes per ball. So when the bridge receives ball A, it knows to cycle between these 4 notes. On ball B, that was the green one, and that only made a single note, and that's because I only have a single note in here. And ball C had 3 notes to go through. And then for some reason I went from hex to RGB code here for color values. Andy Calloway asked, can you not use web color names? That's a great question. I don't know if on its own web color names mean anything in CircuitPython. I know in like the CircuitPython LED animation library it does, but I don't know. So yeah, weird. I don't understand what happened to this guy, but let me open up my code off of my hard drive, MIDI bridge, copy it, close it, paste it, save it. And in line 15, It's asking for Adafruit display text. I swear I installed it, right? Circup install Adafruit display text. It's already installed. All right, you won't see me do this, but I'm going to go ahead and open up that CircuitPy library drive and toss its contents out because something fishy's going on. All right, so I just did a delete on all the contents of the library folder on CircuitPy drive. So if we look at the REPL here, it's going to fail on every library. So we'll try reinstalling display text. Oh wait, it was not letting me. Sorry, my Finder just yelled that it didn't want to delete. I might have to close the REPL. Yes. All right, so move to trash. Huh. Operation can't be completed because the item display shapes is in use. What is going on here? It'll let me delete everything else. Deleting the contents of that folder. Will it let me delete the folder? No, it's holding on for dear life. All right, well, let's see what happens if I try to reinstall. So, yeah, my whole library directory went wacko for some reason. There's a chance I should have turned that synthesizer off first to not be powering that feather when I unplugged it, because it could be that it was accessing something and got corrupted. So let's try installing stuff. All right. Let me open up a REPL. Adafruit MIDI, all right. Install Adafruit MIDI. Looks like you're on a different board. This is a good point. Do I have any other? I don't think I do. And it looks like in the REPL, at least, it says found feather ESP32S to reverse TFT. So that's the one I'm trying to use for this bridge. That's what I have sitting here. I don't believe there's other than my camera switcher, which doesn't usually get noticed by this stuff because of the boot pie. Okay, so it's installed MIDI. It wants NeoPixel, sure. Shut down to own the libs. Yeah. And maybe I should have power cycled this to let that directory get deleted. Display shapes. Display shapes circle is not there. Okay, let me power cycle this. Let's see if it'll let me delete that display shapes folder that it got very angry about. I swear this was going to be an innocent demonstration. Simple. Okay, so CircuitPy drive just showed up. Go into lib. and get rid of display shapes. Will it let me? No. Operation can't be completed because the item display shapes is used. I may need to erase the file system on this one. We could be doomed. I don't think I have another obvious ESP board to plug in over here. Do I? What are you? Oh, let's try this one. Sure. Here is a ESP32S3 reverse TFT feather. That's very similar. Let's see what's on this. Enter code. Okay, so let's put, let me see what version of CircuitPython's on here. I'm guessing 9. 9.2.8. Let's see how it works. Duplicate that code.py in case I wanted that for something. Thinman says line 8 is different on the board to your computer. I believe the code works between these two boards, reverse or not reverse. I don't think there's any huge difference. Okay, so let's open a new REPL. Oop. Okay. So Adafruit MIDI, let's install that. By the way, this is one thing I do like about Zed is just able to open multiple tabs down in the bottom half here where I have terminals. Just new, command new on a Mac just gives me a new tab down here so I can keep the REPL open and then just go over and do circup stuff. Circup, by the way, will work with the kind of current and next, like the latest 2 versions, whole versions of CircuitPython. So it'll grab the bundle for 9 and for 10. So in this case, it should notice that we're on 9. NeoPixel, sure. And display shapes. I'm terrified, but let's see. Got your name right. I'm guessing there's a better way to do this where I just grab the entire list there and parse it into a, here's all the libraries we should install. Hey, it worked. Okay. Not sure what's going on with the other one. Okay, so what we should see now. Good. Okay, so you're not going to hear anything, but you will see I have a little light. Let me do it on the red one. You'll see ball A there has a gray dot in front of it. And when I shake this, it sends the message. And to keep things fast, this display only updates every couple seconds, I think. But when it does, it'll show me which balls are have recently sent a message, since there isn't, as far as I know, any kind of like active connection concept here. But that, now we can, I don't know why I was doing all that, but I wanted it to work again. So now you can see I have ball A, B, and C. I'm sorry, the type is super tiny. And then I have the list of their MIDI note numbers that they cycle through. So if I, let's see, do I live dangerously? Sure, let me get this to make some sounds over here. I'll open up VCV Rack. I'll show it to you in just a moment. screen capture, new screen capture. I think if I say it's a game that I'm capturing, it does like a neat fast. Ew, that didn't work. All right, let's say window. Rack, yes, yes. Okay, and I can make that a little smaller. Okay, so this is a modular synthesizer simulation, and what I'm going to say is it should show MIDI to CV. We should see the feather. I'm going to unplug and replug this. This acts as a MIDI input. Oh, no. Core MIDI? Why aren't you showing it? Huh. Let me, do I want a power cycle? No, I don't want a power cycle. Let me make a new MIDI thing. Oh, I only have these installed. MIDI to CV. You should, yeah, I don't know why the feather isn't showing up. Oh well. So instead we'll plug it over in on this synth and see if we're good. Okay, that powered on and looks good. And I think I got to pick it over here. Tools, MIDI. No, that's not working. Okay, I've screwed something up with the MIDI, so sorry about that. Oh, I know what that is. You want to know what that is? Let me show you what that is. Let me reset. I'm holding reset while I unplug to be a little more cautious. What that is ESP32 doesn't have enough endpoints to do MIDI on its own. So we have to give it a boot.py that says, okay, enable the MIDI endpoints, because USB can be like mice and keyboards and thises and that's, and by default there's not enough on ESP to do MIDI. So I have a little, actually I think I have a note at the beginning of this file about that, don't I? No, I guess I got rid of it. I have a boot.py, you can see right, let me hide this for a second. You can see this boot.py right here. It will enable USB MIDI, but disable USB HID. So this one's not going to act as a mouse and a keyboard, which we don't want it to. And so I'm going to save this as boot.py, and then I'll power cycle that feather. I think a hard reset will do it, a soft reset won't. So if we save that as boot.py, now this feather, when it restarts, it's because it's the ESP32, I think S2 and S3 have this issue. Now when it restarts, it should be able to actually instantiate USB MIDI. And I forget this every 3 months or so. So I'm kind of glad I ran into that to have a, it's good to have a recent episode with USB MIDI on ESP32 to remember, oh yeah, that's a whole thing. And I thought, I will put a note, yeah, I'll put a note in the main bridge code here. Use boot.py to enable MIDI. That'll be enough. Okay, so now if I go take a look at my synth software, it should be able to pick, there we go, ESP32 32S3 reverse TFT CircuitPython USB. So now I can have the volt per octave, so the pitch. Put that there, and how about gate there? And I'll make my output just be my Mac speakers, if it'll let me. Geez Louise, I have a lot of my Mac Pro speakers. All right. Yay! So that's the blue one going from 67 to 72 to 61. Let me put the cover back on this guy. I did not pick very harmonious notes on these yet, sorry. Okay, so now you should see, these might, oh, live demo. I've also realized I can't really juggle with glasses on. Here we go. Again, apologies about the notes that I picked there. Oh, and this guy's been on the whole time, so he's also... I'm terrible with 4. You can tell I'm not a great juggler, but I've just started learning 4. Maybe I'll get there one day. Okay, shoo. I'm glad that resolved, but also glad you saw... I don't know what happened with that first feather, but I'm glad you saw me fumble with the boot.py, because that's a common one that happens. All right, so let me move that out of the way. I think that covers it for this. I'm writing this up as a Learn Guide. You'll be able to do it without the PCB with 3 of these. You can come up with your own arrangements of how you want to do LEDs on it. These do, I mean, they're not terrible. They do kind of have a cool look wrapped around the edges of it, so I don't want to malign that too much. That'll make a pretty cool juggle ball as well. Now do Daruda Sandstorm. Dun, 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 dun. So the other 2 things I wanted to do, these should be fairly brief. Famous last words. Let's jump over here. And I got 2 things going on over here. Let's take, just open up my Discord. See what's happening. And I'll come back to the chat in a moment. So first thing is that wow, it's so bright there and not here, but I got a $5 at the thrift store Nintendo DS Lite last week, and the only issue with it is it had a broken hinge, which there's like a little clicky hinge stop that stops full open, stops slightly angled, and then holds itself, sort of, but it really wants to go to those détentes, click, click, and then closed. So unfortunately, when that breaks, it's usually right here, and there's not a lot of great ways to resolve it other than if you happen to have donor DS Lites, which I do. So I've made a few of these DS Lite macros in the past, which just the DS and the DS Lite, the original one and the Lite, they all play Game Boy Advance games in the bottom here. And if you remove the entire top and rewire some stuff and add 1 resistor, then you can use these as the best Game Boy Advance that there is, at least compared to any that Nintendo put out. So that's why I have spare screen tops. This is the one that, try to focus there. This is the one that was on the thrift store one for $5. Screen was good. I actually swapped out just this frame. So that little crack there was the issue. I think the one that I took it off of was a blue one, which may be what I turned into this macro. I think it is. I think this macro started out as that blue one, and I don't remember why I had that one turned into a macro, even though the top wasn't broken. Here's a another black one that does have a good hinge, so I'm going to keep that around, and that's actually what that little clicky hinge mechanism looks like there. So if you're ever faced with a very inexpensive DS Lite, any handheld, get it, because this is not too difficult. There's a lot of online instruction about doing that swap out. Otherwise, there's like people making little using glue and stuff, but that plastic always wants to break right there. So anyway, I was excited to do a little fun fix, and now there's a perfectly capable DS Lite. Plays DS games, plays the Game Boy Advance games still. And that was the thrift store report. And then the other thing I want to show you was this DIY juggling balls method. This is still drying up here, but if you're ever wanting to do juggling as like an activity with a group of people, it actually can get pretty expensive if you're buying juggling balls. So there are two really popular methods of making juggling balls. One is with balloons and sand or rice, and the other is these pit balls, which come in a couple sizes. This is, I think, the what size are you? Do they say 2.5 inch? I think these are great. Good size, very inexpensive because they're super lightweight, thin plastic balls, but you can, as you may be able to see here, it's a little bright. Let me turn this light down here. I just made a little hole in it and filled it with some salt in this case. Turn that down, there we go. So this has a slit in it, about 90 grams of salt. And then you can either melt the top back with the side of a soldering iron. Works a little better. The melting kind of spreads the slit usually, but you can have one sacrificial ball that you can use for 20 balls that you cut little slivers off of and melt. So I did that, but then I also wanted to try using, I happen to have some clear silicon caulking or sealant, cured sealant. So this is a little tacky still because I put it on a couple hours ago. But these are really nice because they're a good weight, a nice feel in the hand. They do not bounce. So you drop them because this is a really sort of soft plastic that has a little bit of air in there, but it doesn't totally collapse. These will thud in your hand and stay there. They don't really want to go anywhere. And when you drop them, you're usually not chasing them around too much. So that's a good option there. I haven't bought salt in a while. I've got lots of salt in the cupboard, so I don't know what these end up costing. But this might be, gosh, I don't remember, $12 or something for 50 of these ball pit balls. You can get them a lot of fun colors and stuff too. This was a 2-pack of clear and pearl. So you can see the clear are a little more see-through than the pearl. And originally I was looking to see, could I use these to use with my interactive juggling balls, but it seems like since there's not a good way to close them and then be able to open them up again, I'm going with the 3D printing. But these are not bad. Bean bags, like these are really nice, but like $7 a bean bag one sewn by someone on the internet who just does this. Bean bags are great too. These are often called Russian-style juggling balls when they have not full to the top. It's hard for you to see that, but these are capped off at about 75% is where I have that. So that gives it a certain type of feel that does thud in the hand because the weight is sort of in the lower half of the ball. These are quite expensive too. If you get pre-made Russians, they're going to be $7, $8 a ball usually. So I think that's a neat way to make some DIY balls. Other option is the balloon one. I haven't used those in a while. Those will be, dense, solid because it's a balloon that constricts it. This instead gives you that little wobble. Some people don't like the wobble that the Russian style ball has in the air, but I don't mind it. And you can also, since these are a bit more of a rigid sphere than a beanbag, you can do certain types of contact juggling-ish tricks with them. But if you're that advanced, you're probably using something else. So anyway, that's DIY. All you need: some salt, funnel, some of these balls, cut a slit, pour it in, weigh it or pre-weigh it, and seal it up. So there you go. A couple of juggling things going on. All right, let's have a look in the chat and see if anyone has thoughts, comments before we go. I'll jump back over here. Get rid of that there. It is still safer than juggling Lars. You said it. Bag of pit bulls. I'm not juggling pit bulls. I promise. Let's see. I'll come back to this note. This was something Todd said, and maybe I'll do this as a CircuitPython Parsec. He said you can be explicit by creating a requirements.txt file with a list of libraries and do circup install -r requirements text. Ah, that's right. I forgot about that. I did that like once 4 years ago. It's very cool. Allows you to grab just a clump of libraries all at once. Super smart. Thank you, Todd. Maybe we'll do that as a CircuitPython Parsec. All right. Connor McCarter had to split. Everyone have a great day. Thank you. Quinman16 heard the Mario song in that from what I was playing before. The note from Robert Cochran: are you installing elements from version 9.2.8? That was probably when I was doing the circup. So circup will look at what version is in your current build on the board, what it's running, and grab either from 10 or 9 as far as libraries go. So I don't know. It's possible that was some of the confusion on this other board, but the one I switched to is running 9, and it was okay. Right. Oh, Connor McCarter said Windows version of Z is coming. It's not out yet, apparently. Thank you. Okie doke, we did it. We've made it. So thank you so much for sticking with me. Again, I will remind you, if you want to go buy some stuff in the store, save some money. Orbitron, 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 Orbitron. Orbitron will save you 10% in the shop, no matter how many times you say it, apparently. But just head to Adafruit, look for some cool stuff, throw it in your cart, look for that coupon code box on the way out, type in Orbitron, or use voice to text. That'd be even more fun. And you'll save 10% off that. Coupon code is good until midnight tonight. All right, there's a good chance we'll have more videos soon. I believe there's going to be a deep dive with Foamy Guy tomorrow. We should have some Desks of Ladies Adas over the weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday with another product pick. Wednesday, 3D Hangouts, then Show and Tell, and Ask an Engineer after that. I don't know if Scott's doing deep dives yet, but I believe he's dipping his toes back into the work waters. So exciting to have Scott back, and we'll see what deep dives he does. That is going to do it. Thank you, everyone, so much. I will see you next week for Adafruit Industry. This has been John Park with John Park's Workshop. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.